Amy and Minnow are back. All right. What do you think about the cows, Min? Minnow's eating a fly. She doesn't like bugs. We just left Lima. The people there are all really super nice. Got a shuttle ride in by a very nice gentleman. The people at the gas station were super nice. The gal at the post office is super nice. We got a shuttle ride back out today. Did a little over 5 miles to our water source and took a break. Looked up and decided that we should put the tent up because it was starting to get cloudy out. While in Lima there, I had a few episodes of like wanting to go hide in my bathroom in my room and like curl in a ball and just hide from everybody, but it didn't. Those were like very, very few seconds of like panic mode in me for I don't know what reason, but I didn't, and they passed, came and gone really quick, and it was a pretty nice town stop. It's gotta be an antelope. Speed goat. Antelope. Loper. The fastest land animal in the North America. Couple of bucks are just sneaking up on us. Alright, for breakfast this morning we are gonna have tea. Be fearless. Know that all will be provided at the right time. And we're also gonna have some breakfast shake. This is a meal replacement shake, but I'm not gonna just use it as a meal replacement shake. It has a lot of good vitamins in it. And some dried fruit. So we've got dried pineapple, dried apples, dried peaches, dried strawberries, and there's also still mangoes in here. Last night when we got the tent set up and we got in the tent and it started raining, I just zonked out and I hit hard. It was only like 4 o'clock and apparently I needed some sleep. Hopefully the weather stays good for us today. It looks pretty clouded. Hopefully it doesn't rain and it just stays cloudy. That would be kind of nice. There's the Montana-Idaho border. We got caught in a hailstorm on top of the ridge. Got wet. It's not the worst though. Minnie's all wet. The tent's leaking. So we improvised and put my poncho above us. It's really coming down. Round 3, but the sun's shining this time. Need some more alterations. Checking poles are holding up the poncho because the poncho is dripping water inside. We have a break in the storm, but it looks like more's coming. Hopefully we can get this tent figured out. That's what just left. There's elk down there bugling. That one looks like a bull. He's pretty yellow. They're making their way this way. That'd be kind of cool. They come hang out with us. So while I drink my tea and have all my stuff out, I'm gonna prep my cold soak for dinner tonight. Some spaghetti and some burger. I prep my dinners in the morning for a couple of reasons. I have all my stuff out already. Another reason is because I'm too lazy later in the day to get everything out. And another reason is because it saves space in my bag. Get all the air out of the bags. Around 4 o'clock, I'll put some water in here. And that'll give me at least 2 hours of cold soaking time. And then I'll just put it in my pot, heat it up, maybe add some more water because you need to have water in those pots when you're cooking, otherwise it just burns. Saving space. So this water source that we were planning on tonight isn't a guaranteed water source. And with last night's storms, we didn't get a chance to go and check it out, so we're gonna go check it out. Hopefully we can find some water. Can you hear the elk bugling? That's a good sign for me. Means they might be drinking some water down there. And we have water. Yes. We could eat breakfast this morning. Can drink some water. We're in luck today. Since we found water today, we are going to stock up and just take a 0 day here today. We're gonna have to take 3 of them before we meet up with Alex, so what a great spot to do it. Seems that there's just rose quartz everywhere. So our hearts are protected out here too. Now we have water. Minnow has a bone. And we have some pretty amazing views today. Today we're just going to stretch. We're going to pray. We're going to tie prayer ties. We're going to meditate. And we're going to smudge ourselves multiple times. So we got all our stuff dried out from last night. And we are just getting ready to hunker down and wait out these next storms that are passing through. It's kind of what it looked like yesterday before it hit us. And then it came in quick. So we got everything dried out, everything put away. There's a fly on the lens. They don't care. They have no self-awareness. It almost looks like New Mexico this morning. Started the day off with a 700-foot climb in less than a mile. Made it to the top of this hill with some killer views. Camped with another guy last night. Gave him a little bit of food. He may have been running short, wasn't too sure. I had extra food, so I gave it to him. And then ran into another northbounder. So they're starting to catch up with me. These are the faster ones. We're gonna make it to another water source today and hang out there. Every day we've been having storms. It looks like this one might pass us. We're going in the opposite direction possibly, but I thought that the other day and it didn't happen. So we'll get started. What do you think, man? Are you ready? It's a lot of climbing today. I'm having a lot of emotions come up. I don't know if they're sad or if they're angry or if they're happy, but I really want to cry a lot. So I'm just trying to allow myself to feel those feelings and not just push them away, and just work through each of them. I noticed yesterday and the day before I had a lot of anger. So maybe that's what's working off of me right now. I don't know. Man, these views are good though. Killer. Killer. Minnow must have found water because she took off and was not looking back. Thirsty girl, she didn't drink her water this morning, I told her. Shared some of mine. But we'll see if she's right. She tends to lead me to water, so that's good. So I was just sitting here thinking about my relationship with my dad. Me and my dad, we didn't have the best of a relationship, but I sure did love him. I do love him. We both just have a lot of anger issues, and I'm sure I learned that from him. I got kicked out of my house a lot of the time, some for good reasons, some for not so good reason. Times when I would argue with him and not be willing to listen, and I got kicked out of my house for that. Other times I didn't have a cigarette to give to him, so I got kicked out of the house for that. My dad would steal my paychecks and try to cash them for himself. I don't know why. Needless to say, my teenage childhood life was probably not the easiest to deal with. Around the age of 16, I started the process of getting emancipated from my father, which is basically a divorce. A few months into that process, my dad decided that he was going to go visit his mom in San Francisco. She wasn't doing so well. One day on the beginning of his trip, he called me and he was bawling. I have only seen my dad cry once my whole life, and he was bawling, saying that they were trying to hurt him and they were trying to get to him. And I had no idea what was going on. Then it turns out that my dad had some sort of, I don't know, stroke or something like that. And he didn't know where he was at, and people that were trying to help him, he thought that they were trying to hurt him. Eventually, we got him home. They diagnosed him with Alzheimer's. And I think my dad was really afraid. His dad passed away from Alzheimer's, and his dad's dad passed away from Alzheimer's. And I didn't know my grandfather, but my dad was very scared of getting Alzheimer's. He would always have me promise to him that if that happened, that I would take care of him and I wouldn't put him in a nursing home or anything like that. And I always promised that I would. So I was keeping my promise. I was taking care of him. But he was just going into these episodes of rage and always talking inappropriately to neighbors and stuff like that. And just saying things that weren't really true. And eventually my mom decided to come and get him. I think he had Alzheimer's for around 10 years before. And probably about 7 years before he passed away. So I was 23, and my mom called me and said that the hospice called her and he's got no more than 2 weeks. And in leaving my work, it turns out everybody collected a whole bunch of money for me so I could drive down there to be with my dad. which was super nice. And I was so grateful. It was so generous. I made it to my dad before he passed away. And when I walked into the hospice room for the first time and I just saw him laying there and he couldn't do anything, I started crying. And I went and saw him and I held his hand and I told him I loved him. And he started crying. That was the only thing that he could do, I guess. He couldn't move. But tears were coming out of his eyes. The day that he passed away, it was just Michael and I. I was holding his hand and this lady came in with this giant flute, and I don't remember what it's called, but she started playing it for a little bit and he stopped breathing, and I looked at him like I wasn't sure that he stopped breathing, and she stopped playing. And then he took another breath and another breath. And so she started playing again, and he stopped breathing again, and she stopped playing and she left the room, and I shook his hand. Like, I shook it, like trying to get him to breathe again. And he wouldn't. And this nurse came in and checked his pulse and said that it was really faint. And she waited a little bit longer, like a minute maybe, and checked his pulse again and said he was gone. And I just started crying. Then she left the room, and Michael came over to hug me, and I just bawled. I was so thankful that he was there with me. It was just us two. And somebody was there with me, and that's just something that you'll never forget. I was so thankful. And I just started just cleaning everything, folding blankets, putting the chair back together that I was sleeping on, cleaning everything. He was empty. He was gone. He was empty. My dad and I had a very complicated relationship. And it wasn't just anger. A couple of times it was abusive. When I was like 7, and we got into an argument, and he got so mad and he punched the cabinet that was an inch away from my face. And the cabinet smacked me in the face, and I dropped the glass and it shattered everywhere. And my nose started bleeding and gushing blood, and like I just dropped to the floor and backed into the corner and just laid there. And he left, and he came back into the kitchen and said, "Get up and clean this kitchen because it looks like an effing mess." So I did. I cleaned the kitchen, and then I went to the bathroom and I cleaned myself up. I never went to the doctor, but I probably had a broken nose. I had 2 black eyes. My nose hurt a lot, and he's always talking down to me. Like, one time we were at the gas station, I asked if I could get some chips. When I was walking up to the cash register where he was at, he was telling the cashier that I was just a fat little kid that can only shut up because I get a bag of chips. So there's physical abuse, there's mental abuse. We were always arguing. I love him and I forgive him. I know he's been through a lot in his life. His family, I don't consider my family. Like, his mom was just really mean. And his dad passed away young. He fought in the Vietnam War. He got shot. I mean, just those things alone can cause a lot of issues for somebody if they don't get it taken care of. And back then, having depression, having a mental illness was not accepted in society. And he just never dealt with it. And that anger came out on us. It came out on me. But I forgive him. I do forgive him for all of that. And I'm sorry for any trouble that I have caused. And I love him, and I hope he knows that. And I hope he knows that I'm sorry. I'm doing this to stop that cycle, I guess, for the children that I have. I'm trying to work through it. And I'll get there. A lot of us are controlled by fear, but I like to overcome fear and defeat. If I didn't, I wouldn't be able to be here today. In my early to mid 20s, I couldn't even step inside a grocery store by myself. So scared of people and so overwhelmed by people. I would get panic attacks, I'd get the spins. Working through those things allows me to be here today. Even though these people still scare me. I just camped with a stranger on a ridge and we've had conversations. I just stayed at a motel by myself. If you live in fear, you stop living. And man, is life so much richer when you stop living in fear. Today I just stretched and prayed and meditated and listened to my literature, I guess. And I tied prayer ties today. I will show you guys when I am ready to show you how I do that stuff. It's personal and it's private, but I want to show it in a respectful way. So today was just basically a rest day, and just a day for me. I didn't film much, and I think that's okay. We get to see Alex and Echo tomorrow. Minnow is stoked about that. Good morning, everybody. Today's the day. We're gonna see Alex and Icky Eck. Where's Echo? Do you want to see her? You do? Oh my gosh. It's a cold morning this morning. There's a frost on everything. This is a marked water source. I mean, I guess it's water. I don't need water right now. I'm gonna pass. Made it to the pickup spot, and we're just waiting for Alex to show up. I don't know if you can tell, but these flies are absolutely ridiculous. And the bug spray that we have doesn't work. Being in the shade doesn't work. Being in the sun doesn't work. Nothing works. They just They're everywhere. I mean, I guess I could pull out all my gear and set up my tent just to leave in an hour or so, but I don't know if that's worth it. It might be. They're absurd. They're crazy.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. We also have a Patreon page at patreon.com/mindbodysoulfilm.